one of the biggest epiphanies you have in life is realizing who your parents actually are. And it's just like, why do you act like that? Welcome to Kalan the Voice Podcast. I'm your host, Anel, and here we talk about all things inner child healing, growing, evolving, God, spirituality, in full transparency. And we are on episode 7. Crazy. Episode 7? I feel like I've been doing this for much longer than I have been doing, which is strange. And yeah, today I did not want to record, but it's not about what I want to do. It's about what needs to get done, because if I don't do this when I have the time, when am I going to have the time? I don't have the luxury to say that I don't want to do something. You feel what I'm trying to say? Because we working through our habits. You feel what I mean? But yeah, we real personal now. We on episode 7. I'm not even wearing makeup. I'm not wearing makeup because I didn't feel like doing my makeup. So I just threw on these blue light glasses, put my hair in a bun per usual, and wore some black. Moisturized. We got the chicken grease lips in full effect. Face looks glossy. You feel me? It's okay. We don't need to wear makeup all the time. Ladies, please understand that you need to find self-love and beauty when you have no makeup on. Do you understand how drastically your face is changing when you just do your hair? But anyways, we're going to be deviating from another topic today in today's episode. So let's get into today's episode. Today's episode, we're going to shift gears real quick. We're going to talk about something that it still has something to do with healing, but it's going to be very different. And I don't think many people talk about this topic. I think I've seen like one other podcaster where he had an interview with his mom, and it did go viral and stuff. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen it, but it really made me think about how many people don't have conversations like that with their parents. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about all parents and things. And let me tell you, parents have a really big role in your healing journey. Okay? Now look, before I get started, I have to say a disclaimer. I have to. You feel what I mean? Like, I have to make a disclaimer. My disclaimer for today is that no, I am not a parent yet. Okay? So what I'm going to be saying today is based off of having 2 present parents my entire life. I am a blessed individual and have always had both of my parents in my life. I still currently do. And that's what makes me qualified to have this opinion today. So, even though I know nothing about being a parent, I pretty much know the roles of what a woman and a man should be embodying and what they should not be embodying by my parents. First things first, I feel like the biggest, or not, if not, one of the biggest epiphanies you have in life is realizing who your parents actually are. And it's just like, why do you act like that? Why? Growing up, like when you're a kid, you think about like, oh, my parents is beasting, like they just be doing too much or whatever, like they expect too much of me. But then as you get older, the roles reverse. You start to have this expectation and this standard for your parent, and you almost think that they should be perfect in a way because they're your parent, and that's not the case. My parents are in the generation of survival. All they know how to do is survive. Wake up, go to work, come back, take care of the house, go to sleep, wash, rinse, and repeat. Okay? All they know how to do is survive. They were never taught how to deal with their emotions. They were not of the generation where you sat down and say, I feel this. No, it was none of that. Being that I'm the generation where I am very well with my emotions and I act upon changing things for the better, it starts to clash. It does. And I am going to get very personal today, okay? I'm going to describe my parents, and I'm going to tell you why the good thing and this is the bad thing, right? To describe my parents, right? I have great parents. great parents. Mom, that's my twin, personality wise. Me and my mom have the same personality. Like, it's actually crazy. But I also have my dad's personality. And I also look exactly like my dad, just the girl version. So I am the Sour Patch Kid. I'm also the youngest. I would say I got a little bit more freedom than my older siblings, but I also had to deal with the last parenting my parents had. You feel what I mean? So, like, being the youngest is not all that great, but it's all like, I don't know. You get a different version of your parents. So, my parents are great parents. My mom, great mom. My dad, great dad. And because they're married, I got to see them as individuals, as parents, and as husband and wife. Okay? So, I think growing up, there's this like really bad perspective and this idea that people have, like, oh, like, you have the white picket fence like life, like, you have your mom, you have your dad, you live here, and then you have this, you have that. But in reality, like, there was times where I was like, I think my parents are better off not being together. Because to be in that household, like, just experiencing all that with them and like being so mature for my age, it did affect me. It did affect me. And I'm not here to bash my parents. I love my parents. But my parents' marriage is not perfect, and it never will be perfect. But it did set an example for me as to what is good in a relationship and what is not good in a marriage. So, it's a blessing, but it's also, it exposes you to a lot more, rather than when you don't have a parent around, you are dealing with the pain in absence of, why are they not there, why is it this, why is it that. And it's just like, I used to tell my friends growing up, like, I think sometimes you are not around your mom or your dad for a reason. Like, you don't realize that you're being saved from it. But I can't say that either, because I have both my parents, so my opinion was like, girl, shut up. But little do you know is that, like, I've still experienced my parents and their battles. And when I started to enter into my healing journey from my own things, I started to analyze my parents' behavior and how that affected me and molded me into the child and then into the adult that I currently am. And I started to see that, starting off with my mom, I started to see that my mom is a very strong-minded individual, and she may come across as very assertive and very like strong, and my dad is more passive, more laid back, very a man of less of words, and very reserved. So in a way, they work out because they're opposites, but in a way, I kind of saw how that can also be an issue, right? Now, this is not a overall bad thing. I'm just telling y'all what it is, because what it looks like is not what it is. And I have lived a great life, okay? I keep emphasizing this because, yes, I'm trying to describe the root of the problem, and I'm obviously not going to tell you the details of my parents' marriage because their privacy, but I'm going to tell you my experience of what I saw and how I lived through that experience with them. And I think the frustration of a parent is top tier. Like, there's no one that can get me mad like my mom or my dad. They piss me off. They get on my damn nerves. They are my toddlers right now. They are in their terrible twos. They do not listen, and they're stubborn. But I love them. Okay? Parents really start turning into children again, and it's type wild. Like, seriously, let's just gather ourselves and do the right thing. Like, you start to see, like, your parents teach you everything that they taught you not to do. And it's insane. Like, you're like, you taught me not to do this, not to think like this, but you do it too. I think that me doing the work, where it's like, I'm going to therapy, I'm doing the self work, I'm realizing a lot. I started to understand my parents as individuals, and that kind of eased my way of thinking with them and how I want to be as a person and who I want to be in a relationship. Because you're never going to change your parents. Your parents are going to be the same way to their core. They're going to be the same way forever. You can't choose them and you can't change them. You just have to change how the way that you maneuver with them, because they're always going to be like that. They have been on this earth longer than you, and they are stuck in their habits, stuck in their perspective. You're never going to win. It's a lose-lose situation. You're going to lose. And their justification for a lot of things is like, well, you're not a parent, so you don't really know, or you can't say that because when you're a parent, you're going to understand. Wrong. Because when I do become a parent, it's going to be, oh, well, you just became a parent 2 seconds ago. So what are you talking about? It's a lose-lose situation. So I just feel like once you start to understand your parents as individuals, you start to see like, oh, that's why you did that. And understanding like this is their first time at life too. Like, you think they went into parenthood knowing exactly what to do? No. But I feel like where my problem is like the accountability. I think my parents' generation, they lack accountability. If you know that something that you do or say is affecting me and you still choose to do it, we have a problem. Like, I have boundaries with my parents. That's how much of a big boundaries baddie I am. Okay? I've had an example as to what it is that a marriage is supposed to be, and I've learned for myself what I don't want in a marriage and what I do want. And what type of wife I want to be and what type of husband I would like. You feel what I mean? Like that dynamic and stuff. But people think like, oh, well, you had it, so you can have the example to it. Not necessarily all the way true, because I can normalize and think that everything about my parents' marriage is perfect. And this is what I want in somebody. And it didn't turn out like that for me. Transparently speaking, because I keep it 1,000 with y'all, okay? I don't want to be like my parents. I don't. Do they have a long lasting relationship? They do. That's inspiring. Sometimes I look at my parents and I'm like, wow, if you would have went back and healed this one thing about you, you would be a completely different person. That thought keeps me going into doing the work because it is important. And a lot of my healing, it started out as, oh, I need to do this for me. I need to heal because I need to, become better in life and be who I need to be. I want to learn more of me for my kids, my grandkids, my husband, my family. Like, I want to be better, not only for myself, but for everybody around me. Because the better that I am, the better that everything is going to be, you know? And when you are not right within yourself, like, it's a actual thing. Why do you think that on the plane they tell you to put your mask on first and then help the next person? Because you need to be secure within yourself. You need to make sure that you're breathing yourself in order to help somebody else. If not, you're both gonna suffocate. That's the things that I've learned in their relationship. Like, sometimes my dad needs more attention and sometimes my mom needs more attention. It's never 50-50. Never. Somebody always needs more. Let me just get into the aspect of my parents and what's my relationship with them individually. Let's start with my mom. My mom, as I said before, is a fireball. She is a lot, and she's very affectionate with her words, with her like body, and she would do anything for me. And I love my mom. I do. Okay, Mom, if you're watching this, I love you. But you get on my damn nerves. That's just straight to the facts. And I know I get on your nerves, but it's okay. It's okay. However, I have noticed that I've had some tough conversations with my mom, especially as an adult, as me expressing to her of her behavior and how she acts and how I don't like it and how I'm not going to tolerate it and how it needs to change. And, having those tough conversations is hard because, like I said, like their generation, they're not talking about their emotions. They don't know how to do that. They don't. This is why it's important and it's significant that I have been doing the work myself because I know how to have these conversations with my mom. And the other day, not too long ago, actually, it was probably almost a year ago, I told my mom, like, she's like, and everything is like a justification. And I'm like, yeah, mom, but you don't experience yourself. And even I was shocked by saying that because it's facts. Like, you don't get to experience yourself. Don't tell me that you don't do something and you literally do. But I also, as her daughter, I can't blame her because she doesn't know how to differentiate the difference between this is affecting somebody and this is just how I am. It's not comfortable. It gets ugly. I'm not even gonna lie. It gets ugly, but it's lovely that I get to be that child in terms of like letting her know like I understand you. It's just some things are just not okay. Yeah, we still have some hiccups here and there. But I love my mom. And one day I'll have her on the pod. That will be freaking epic. I know she would be camera ready. But I don't know about that. Moving on to my dad. As I said before, my dad is very reserved, very a man of less words. I wouldn't say he's shy. He's more like, yeah, I wouldn't say my dad is shy. Me too. But listen, my dad is my twin. Growing up, I misunderstood my father a lot because of his quietness. And I used to think like, oh, he's just in a bad mood all the time and just everything that he's actually not. And then when I turned into an adult, I started to see like he's just stressed out. And he doesn't know how to express his emotions. So yeah, I used to misunderstand him because as a kid, you just want attention and you want him to be there and do this and do that. And my dad works a lot. Like, my dad works 7 days a week. As I got into adulthood, I started to express things to my dad because that's one thing that I've learned with both parents. Like, I had to learn how to articulate my words and tell them exactly what it is and not be attached to how they're going to react. And that's just with life and with everybody else. And I'm going to get into that in another episode. But yeah, I started to express to my parents what it is that I actually need. A couple months back, I told my father, like, I would like if you would talk to me more, like, have a conversation with me. I'm not saying every day, but I literally argue with my dad because he would come home and go to sleep. And it's just like, hello, sir, talk to me, say hi. And now he actually makes an effort to have a conversation with me. It feels good. Again, there's still hiccups there because my parents are already to their core who they are. So I can't be frustrated with that. But my responsibility is to say exactly what it is that affects me. And if they choose to, I'm blessed enough to have parents that actually they try, they make an effort. That's why it all comes back to myself because I had to learn to be in tune with my emotions to understand like I feel this way and I need to tell them, but I don't know why. Not knowing the why. By the way, fun fact, when you are in a moment of vulnerability and you say I don't know, that's your ego talking. You do know. You do. The answer is within you. You're just saying, I don't know, because you're getting to the root. And when you get to the root, you may not know how to handle it and cope with it. So that's why you say, I don't know. Even I do it sometimes. But I've been learning to stop doing that because I do know. And only I know how I feel. I just gave you a therapy session in a couple seconds. You're welcome. Anyways, so excited that I spoke about this today. I know it's a little bit of a different conversation, but I think it all connects. And I think that it will help somebody. And I hope it was interesting to understand that. And mom, dad, thank you for manifesting me into this world. I literally am a manifested baby. Fun fact. So, yeah, I have no choice but to be great. That's it, and that's all. Today's Boundaries Baddies tip is you cannot change your parents, you can only change how you deal with them. And as you do the work for yourself, it's gonna get just a tad bit easier. And let me just say that the older that they get, the harder it's gonna get because you are constantly changing, but they're not. Listen, if it's not healthy to have your parents in your life, then that's for you. Sometimes I understand there are parents that, you just cut ties with, and that's completely fine because, I know people that have very toxic parents, but I really try to make those people too to understand that, you're not going to change them and your parents are going through their own battles. But anyway, yeah, that's it. Not me scratching my head. It's time. Ciao. It's time. Oh, I need my hair done. That's it for today's episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts, your comments, your concerns. Tell me the story behind your parents. How do you relate? How do you don't relate? Do you agree or do you disagree? I'm going to speak English. I stumble between my words, but it's okay. I'm going to leave that in. And now leave it in because we are showing what it is to be authentic on this side and transparent. I hope that you guys liked today's episode. Make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Make sure that you turn on your post notifications so you get notified every time I upload a new video. And I'll see you in the next one. But of course, make sure that you're always doing it for yourself every single day. Bye.